Welcome back to Dave's Gone By, and Dave's got guests, actually a guest, and it's almost like he is more than one guest because he seems to do so many things and have so many different shows on this very radio station. His name is Michael A. Artsis, and cool dude, young dude getting into radio in kind of a big way. I'm going to welcome him to my show.
Hey, man, thanks for having me.
Very, very happy to have you. Thank you for having me on a recent show that
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad you stuck around. You were here. I invited you on, and it was a lot of fun. I didn't know you before that, but I'm glad that you stayed.
And you know me biblically now, which is kind of cool.
Yes, it's nice.
So, what are you, 23, 24, something like
23, that? 23, March 17th, I was 23.
Yeah, right. Cool. Happy post St. Patrick's Day and birthday all together. That's right. And what made you get into radio and media?
It's funny. I was in high school. I guess I always knew I wanted to be an entertainer. I was always like a ham and the family jokester.
Ham radio. Get it? Ha!
And the family jokester. And it's interesting because I always thought I wanted to play professional sports, and I guess when you're in high school and you're a sophomore, junior, senior, you kind of realize that you might not be good enough to be a professional athlete. And they ask you what you want to do, and, I commuted to high school. I drove from the city to Great Neck every day to go to high school.
I actually did that in elementary school, too, which was really amazing. Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
You took a go-kart, though, right?
So no, I was just bullied across from my house to the next. Just, constant wedgie power, yeah. But anyway.
They had asked me what I wanted to do, and I knew I wanted to do something in entertainment, and I thought possibly... like Saturday Night Live or something. Yeah. And, I'm not sure I'm the best actor, and I can't sing. I definitely can't sing, and I never really got into theater. So I was in my car one day, on the way to school, listening to Howard Stern.
Ah, yes.
And he had some naked chick on.
Or at least he told you she was naked.
Right.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this is what I want to do. And then, people get a bad impression of that, but really, I wasn't realizing, wow, I want to talk to naked chicks. I realized that Howard gets paid to talk. And I said, this is what I want to do. I've been doing this all my life. I haven't shut up. And my mother used to ask me, do you talk just to hear your own voice? And the answer I came to later in life was yes. I do talk just to hear my own voice. And it's amazing. I love it. So I came home one night and I told my folks, I said, I want to be on the radio. And they said, that's very nice.
They were semi-supportive, but skeptical.
They said, call us when you figure out what you really want to do. And my dad wanted me to become a lawyer. And he said, great, go to law school, become an entertainment lawyer, and then you can be somebody's agent. I said, I don't want to be somebody's agent. I want to be the person that needs an agent.
Yeah.
And he said, Michael, you're not funny, you're not good enough, whatever.
We should call your dad. What kind of dad is this?
Yeah, he's good dad. Real good dad.
Yeah.
Financially, he's good.
Oh, okay.
And
can I kill you and get in his will? I mean,
sure,
right.
Go for it. And so, he was against it, and he was dating this woman who was against it. And my mother was probably very supportive of it. And I came home one day and I said, I want to go to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting when I finish high school. Let me go there. And he didn't want me to go. He let me go find out about it and told me, he figured I'd never make it because you have to audition for it. And he figured I'd never make it. And so he let me go, fart around and do that. And when I got in, he made me a deal. And the deal was that I went to college and went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting simultaneously. So I did that. And I graduated from the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. I hated the college I was at. Transferred to the New York Institute of Technology.
Hey, all right.
And actually wound up doing, I thought I was going to be in radio immediately, wound up being in television immediately.
In what context? I
worked my way on air at LI News Tonight, doing television reporting. I pushed my way. I was very persistent. I said, I'm good enough. I can do it. And I've been to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting. And
did that make a difference? Did they?
You know what? I think it
wow.
did. It did. It definitely did, because they were willing to take a chance on me when they wouldn't have been willing earlier. Maybe if I had stuck around for a while and did some menial work, they would have been willing to give me a chance after 2-3 years. But I got on the air, rather quickly, and I think it would have been different had I not had that behind me. And I then actually became a junior correspondent for NBC at the 2000 conventions, Democratic and Republican, worked very closely with Paul Begala, Oliver North, Chris Matthews, a lot of the big names, Brokaw, Russert, Brian Williams. Got to really learn business from some really great guys, got to book guests and write scripts and do some really fun stuff. And then I was doing LI News Tonight.
Where? I'm sorry, but I've not heard of that. Is that on?
It's
where is
on
that?
Channel 31, and which is Telecare. It's a religious station.
Okay, 31 on your local cable vision.
Right, they do the newscast nightly for that. And I got into sports and entertainment, which is what I really excel at. I started out doing general assignment. And so when I came back from NBC, I started doing more sports and entertainment. My creative juices were flowing a little and stuff. And I really excelled at that. And I was there for about 2 more years before somebody came up to me who was a fellow reporter. And she said to me, listen, I'm giving up this shift at a radio station. How would you like to do it? And I begged and pleaded with her to let me do it. And I said, look, I could hit the post. And I joked around with her. I said, I know how to hit the post.
Explain hit the post to our listeners.
Now, I didn't realize she was talking about talk radio. I thought she was just talking about like a music format. So hitting the post is when you talk right up until the lyrics start for a song. So the DJ would go, hey, this is WGBB 1240 AM, and you're listening to Michael Artsis. It's 12 o'clock, and it's 30 degrees out, and I just wanted to say I can't wait for the Dixie Chicks to come to the Nassau Coliseum because those are some hot girls.
Baby got back!
See, I missed the post, but you'd say, that was Phil Collins, and we're going to be listening to Billy Joel now, and then, WGBB 1240 AM. So that's about what DJs get about 15 seconds between songs to talk.
These days, yeah.
Yeah, so, I never really wanted to do it, but I figured I'd jump at the chance because I could get into radio, and found out it was talk, and came down here, and, the rest is history, and I still do television reporting, too. So
For LA News.
Yeah.
Great.
And I I try and get some stuff out there for other stations as well, some sound bites and stuff, that I have. And sound bites are little snippets of interviews.
Right. So before I forget, first of all, when can people hear your stuff on WGBB?
Well, I'm on Sundays with the Big Mouth Brunch Sunday mornings from 11 to 11:30.
And what is that show?
That is just a Big Mouth Brunch. It's brunch, good way to wake up on a Sunday morning. We have all my shows are sports, entertainment, and politics, so I get a lot of good guests. A lot of big names. Victoria Silverstead's going to be on in the coming weeks. The girl, I forget her name right now, the girl who was the naked girlfriend in Seinfeld, the girl who didn't like to get dressed.
Okay.
If the listeners remember that episode.
Engineer Joe is nodding his head.
Yeah, he remembers that. She's going to be on.
Well,
she's going to be on next week, actually.
Cool. Are these on the phone, or do they come into the studio?
Usually phone, sometimes in the studio. Lisa Lampanelli was in the studio. She was a blast. She's a big-time comedian. She's about to nail a sitcom, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool.
So everybody will know her name in a little while. But, no, she did the Chevy Chase roast on Comedy Central, and she's the queen of mean. She is just phenomenal.
Okay.
So, and I get a lot of good guests. Aaron Garcia from the New York Dragons was on a little while ago.
No, that's indoor football, or what is that?
That's indoor football, arena football. I've had some Islanders on, and also Cousin Brucey.
Yeah, you said you had a Cousin Brucey story because you interviewed him a while ago.
I interviewed him, and it ran on the station. I thought I met him at a thing for television. I interviewed him. Television interviews really are for the most part 5 minutes and you're done. I said, Brucey, I'd love to have you on my radio show. He said, great. I called him up. He said, I have to wait till the new year. But he had given me his home phone number. I couldn't believe that.
Wow.
And I was shocked. So I said, okay, yeah, no problem. And I figured he was kind of just blowing me off. So he says, great, let's do it, when I called him after the new year. And, I thought it was going to be like a 5-10 minute interview, because he's a busy guy and he explained to me all the stuff he was doing. He works very closely with these children's charities. It turned out to be like a 47, 48 minute interview. We ran it twice on GBB as, an hour thing. I tagged the front and the back with a nice little intro and outro. And he was just great. He was such a gentleman. He was such a doll, and he really is sincere. He's such a sincere person. Now, he told me when I interviewed him, he told me a lot of great Beatles stories, but he told me when I interviewed him, he told me that he works for the Variety Children's Charity, helps these kids. And he actually invited me on his telethon, March 23rd.
Hey!
Yeah, on PAX TV. He invited me.
Did you have to act crippled or something? Or?
No, he invited me to sit on the telethon and help out and answer phones and stuff and be on the telethon. He invited me to do that, and he did that off the air after I'd stopped recording, so it wasn't like a bit or anything.
Right, yeah.
And I'm doing that. I know we're taping this before the 23rd of March,
right.
But so I'm excited for that. So he does all this stuff for these kids, and he told me, what he said to me was, we talked off air for a while about video production, and he said to me, I'm really into video production. I said, why are you so into video production? He doesn't want $1 that's given to these kids going somewhere else. So instead of hiring a production crew to shoot all these events that the kids do and stuff, with I'm sure the exception of the telethon, because you need a professional camera crew to do that, he shoots it all himself. Well, I thought, like, haha, pretty funny, one day he goes out for one day and shoots a couple different things, and that's it,
Right.
And he told me how he has this editing system, and, and we were kind of, talking back and forth because I have similar equipment to him, and it was fun. So I went to the circus thing today to do a little report on the circus that's in town,
right.
And I see somebody from the Variety Children's Charity happen to come up to the PR person I was dealing with. She said, I'm from the Variety Children's Charity, and I said, oh, hey, I'm doing your telethon with Brucey. Oh, yeah, that's great. So I walked down these stairs, and there's Brucey with the camcorder.
Wow.
And I walk up to him, and I'm like, hey, Brucey. He's like, hey, how you doing? And I said, good. I can't wait to be on your telethon. And it was just amazing, and I kind of just watched him with these kids. It's unbelievable. He is so gentle with these kids. He's so good with the kids. And he's running around. Here's a 65-year-old man running around with a camcorder getting footage so that every dollar goes to the kids and not to a video production company that's going to now splice this together.
But he doesn't take the kids in like a back room and get their clothes off and make real money with these videos. No, I'm just kidding.
That's not right.
Brucey wouldn't do that.
Brucey is
I've heard really good things. I've met him.
He's not Michael Jackson. He's Cousin Brucey.
He's Cousin Brucey.
He's really a great guy. I kid around and I joke around a lot. That's one guy I would not mess with because he is. No, I
know. All right.
He's a good guy. He's a genuine guy, and you know what? You can tell. There's no look. People don't even know who he is when he's walking around the Coliseum doing this circus. No, people didn't recognize him.
Really? Okay.
Okay, I'm telling you honestly. He's just wearing blue jeans and a sweater, and the kids. It doesn't matter if they know who Brucey is or not. He's there to just be such a sport and really support them and take care of them and help them out and give back, and that's what's important.
So he's among, like, I wouldn't say an idol of yours, but he's certainly someone that you look up to and emulate. Are there any other, stern...
I have to say, he never was an idol of mine growing up. I didn't know much about Brucey, and I found out, a little bit when I got older, and then, it was like, cool, Brucey, and, when I went to interview him, it was like, great, a radio legend, and he's become an idol of mine and somebody to look up to since I've started to know him, because he is such a great person and he's so giving and he gives back to the community and he hasn't forgotten where he's come from. He's done such cool things. He introduced the Beatles at Shea Stadium.
Tell me a Brucey Beatles story. Tell me
He told me that he told me a lot of funny stories about the Beatles. One of them was that the Beatles were here and they didn't know what to expect when they got here. First of all, Brucey told me an interesting story that his PD, his program director, and him were introduced to the Beatles 6 months before bringing them here. And they went to the Beatles, they were given the record, I guess, at the time, and said, listen to this, and they said, you know what, we'll pass on these guys.
Okay.
6 months later, the Beatles were a success here. And so it's funny that the Beatles, they were shut down. So it tells a good story there, is that if you think you're good enough, if you believe in yourself, keep pushing, because somebody might not think you're good enough now, but when somebody else thinks you're good enough, they'll think you're good enough too. And, this other story he told me it was just utter chaos when the Beatles were around. People just would do anything. And they had this one night where Ringo wound up, I guess, making out with a girl on the radio. He lost his medallion that he wore around his neck. And the reason he lost it is because she had grabbed it, and Brucey had this fun thing going on, and it was just this crazy story, but it just explained the Beatles so much. And then, he's making out with her on air, and that was groundbreaking radio.
Yeah, of course.
On top of the fact that these are the Beatles. And it was just, he told me such great stories. He did the voiceovers for the Yellow Submarine. He was very involved.
His voice was in the movie?
Yes.
This I did not know.
See?
Do you remember who he played?
No, you know what? I don't know. We didn't get that much into it, but I know that he did a lot of Beatles voiceovers, and he was buddies with these guys. He was really good friends. He hung out with them. He introduced them at Shea Stadium. He told me great stories about Walter Cronkite. His daughter...
Cronkite's daughter?
Yeah, sat in the first row at the Beatles concert at Shea Stadium. Now, the reason she sat in the first row was because Ed Sullivan wanted to know who these Beatles were when he first got them. He wanted a little background, so he calls up Cronkite, and he goes, "Who are these Beatles? I got these Beatles." And Cronkite turned to his daughter and asked her, and she told. His daughter had traveled, I guess to Europe or whatever, knew who the Beatles were, told Cronkite all about them. Cronkite told Sullivan all about him. So the deal was, when the Beatles played at Shea Stadium, Cronkite's daughter got a first row seat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
How crazy is that, though? I mean, it's just amazing that, so the stories, he's become my idol because here his head could be so inflated and he could be this guy, and he hasn't become my an idol, somebody I look up to and respect. Here's this guy whose head could be so inflated. He was the biggest thing around here.
Roger Grimsby's kid was first in line at the Dave Clark 5.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
That's what drove him to drink. But I want to just remind people when your show
okay, so the Big Mouth Brunch, 11 to 11:30 Sundays. That's a great show. Cool. All my shows are really great. They all kind of tie into each other. Midnight Madness is on Wednesday and Thursday mornings from midnight to 1 a.m.
And that's also still politics, talk,
entertainment, yeah. And then also Monday nights, we have a blast Monday nights. It's WGBB Live. It's Monday Night Live. We're down at the D Cafe, 151 Merrick Avenue in Merrick. You come down and join us. I start broadcasting at 6 with WGBB tonight. And, we've got the psychic and the psychologist after that. And the
and if you're there, it's the psychic, the psychologist, and the psychotics.
Right, exactly. And then as well, we also have Infomating, where you date by information and you don't need to be single to come down and mingle. And it's really...
I'm sure a lot of wives and husbands are thrilled about that.
Well, it's because it's not only about dating, it's also about networking. So you can find business contacts there. It's really a lot of fun. I've met some very interesting people and a couple of girls. And it's definitely worth it. It's a blast. And I stay on for all the shows, and you can come down and join us and hang out. It's a lot of fun. Any Monday night, the D Cafe starts at 6 and doesn't end until 10, and we hang out afterwards.
Well, hang out at D Cafe with Mike and the GBB gang. Listen for Mike on the radio. Listen to my show on the radio, Dave's Gone By. I want to thank Mike for joining me today and wish him the best of luck in all his TV, entertainment, political, sports, and other endeavors. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You betcha.